What? This is even worse than last year. Why Star Wars? There's no Star Wars games in the video. This year I have a scary story for everyone. Great games stuck on 7th generation consoles with no remasters in sight. So scary. 3 of these games can be played on Xbox and PC. The other 3 require original hardware. And for one, you already have to own it to be able to play it without emulation. Oh, so scary. There are a couple Castlevanias in here to keep with the theme. Please do consider liking and subscribing. Also, shoutouts to friends of the channel on X, L1 Games, and Gunner Falcon. You can follow me... Wow, crap. You can follow me too at evo-genesis Neo. So scary. Follow us.
Scary? Oh, shiver my timbers! Shut up, man!
I was still reading. Time for the video. Let's go!
Max Payne 3 was first released in North America on May 15, 2012. Next in PAL territories on May 18, 2012. It was also released on PC and Mac on later dates. Max Payne 3 came out almost 9 years after 2. It also has a different developer. Remedy Entertainment created Max Payne and made the first 2 games. Rockstar Studios was developing this time, with Rockstar Vancouver as lead. Other Rockstar Studios assisted in development. No, I have to admit I've never played the first 2 games. I can't remember if this one was a free PSN game or on sale really cheap, but I gave it a shot because it's a Rockstar game. The game was delayed from its 2009 release all the way to 2012. Rockstar invested a lot of time and money into Max Payne 3. However, it didn't sell as well as they'd hoped. A few reasons stem from a big change in tone and style, also the game's DRM, and a crowded marketplace. Regardless, this is a phenomenal game that should get another chance with a remaster. Max is a miserable guy in this game. He's always drunk and no longer a police officer. He now works private security for the rich. This brings Max to Brazil. The family he's protecting end up getting attacked by a gang, and it's up to Max to take everybody down. Max narrates the story. Cutscenes have a weird drunken blur effect, obviously there to show how messed up our protagonist is. A lot of people didn't like that Max is bald in this game. He has hair for a while, and there's a flashback section to New York City. Max has a signature trench coat for that part. Just in case you aren't familiar with the series, it's an action third-person shooter. There are pretty much non-stop gunfights. Max Payne 3 plays exactly how I remember it. Controlling Max is easy. The game has a cover system as most third-person shooters did, and still do. Shooting feels satisfying. Enemies react to where they get shot. This game uses the Euphoria physics engine. It makes NPCs react more realistically. GTA 4 and 5, and Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2 also used it. The signature move of Max Payne is diving through the air in slow motion while shooting. It's useful in many situations and it looks cool too, just like a John Woo movie. Doing this in the wrong place can get Max killed. If he dives into a wall, the bullet time will stop and Max will hit the wall and land on the ground. This game isn't easy. There are a lot of intense shootouts. Enemies change their position to close in if Max stays in one place for too long. These enemies do a lot of damage, so I died a lot.
Stop it! Stop!
Oh my god!
One nice thing is if there are health items in Max's inventory, then he gets a shot at the last enemy to hit him. Then the shooter dies and he stays alive. Stage design is great. Each one is perfectly set up for the gunfights. The game also has a lot of destructive set pieces. Things change up like firing from the side of a helicopter, a sniper rifle escort mission, and firing a machine gun from a boat in a boat chase. Max Payne's soundtrack is great while in gunfights. It's also spot on in the sound department. Max's voice actor James McCaffrey does a great job here, really delivering on how miserable Max is.
Fabiana was held hostage. I had no idea who was behind any of this. I felt like a fool. I was a sweaty, gray-haired mess.
The original Max Payne is getting a remake. Maybe we'll get a remaster of Max Payne 3. This game still looks great, and with the touch-up and running at 60 frames per second, and Rockstar's reputation, there's a chance Max Payne 3 could sell. It can still be played on Xbox through backward compatibility, and PC but a remaster is needed. This game shouldn't fade away.
Over there, man, over there!
Alright,
Over there, man, over there!
alright.
What is a man?
Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 was first released in North America on February 25th, 2014. Next in PAL territories on February 28th, 2014, then in Australia on March 6th, 2014, and in Japan on September 4th, 2014. So I wasn't really a fan of the first Lords of Shadow. The story and voice performances were great. Robert Carlyle playing Gabriel Belmont and Patrick Stewart playing Zolbeck were phenomenal. It's just it didn't really feel like Castlevania. Mercury's team followed this up with Castlevania Lords of Shadow The Mirror of Fate. Damn, that's a long title. Anyway, this one released first on the 3DS. It later came to consoles. The one with the long title starred Simon Belmont, Trevor Belmont, Alucard, and Dracula. This one wasn't bad. Voice acting and story were still good, and it felt a little more like Castlevania. Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 follows the events of the previous two. If you haven't played the first game, well, major spoilers ahead. Gabriel Belmont becomes Dracula at the end of Lords of Shadow, and Dracula is the protagonist of this game. The game begins with Dracula's castle under attack by the Holy Order. After dispatching some knights, Dracula is attacked by a paladin and a titan. The paladin does look badass. He climbs the titan and destroys it. Then he defeats the paladin. The paladin begins a spell. The paladin is surprised when Dracula joins in on the spell.
In anima, nec incorpore! What is a man? A miserable little pile?
Then we get a recap of the events of the previous two games.
Lords of Shadow, and ending their reign of terror, his soul was consumed by the very darkness that he sought to destroy. As that ancient prophecy foretold, whomsoever defeats the Lords of Shadow will sit upon their throne to rule as the Prince of Darkness.
Then the game moves 1,000 years into the future. Dracula awakens weakened. Zolbeck meets with Dracula, and in a nutshell he tells him Satan is preparing to come to Earth. Dracula has to regain his lost weapons and powers to defeat Satan and finally let himself die. Dracula has a few different weapons. His Shadow Whip, which makes sense since he's a Belmont. He has the Void Sword, which heals on contact and freezes enemies and certain objects. And then there are the Chaos Claws, that allow Dracula to break defense and destroy certain locations. Dracula travels to two different places. One is Castlevania City. Yeah, that's the name of it. The city is where Satan will return. Dracula also shifts to his castle and estate before the city was built over it.
Stop! My lord! My friend!
Oh my god!
Dracula's castle revolts against him. His loyal subjects get corrupted by the castle and turn on their prince. The castle doesn't want him to leave, so it tries to kill him instead. The game guides you between the two, and there are secret upgrades hiding around. Combat is fast and smooth. I wish the perfect guard window was a little bigger sometimes. Weapon attacks and combos can be unlocked by defeating enemies. These enemies come in a variety of monstrosities. Some are huge trolls, demons, and the such. Enemies' attacks can be countered with a time-perfect block. Unblockable attacks can be dodged. These enemies come at Dracula hard and fast. Bosses are all interesting battles. Different skills and swirling weapons come heavily into play. One amazing thing about this game is the art direction. Castlevania City is a modern-day city. However, it has some impressive Gothic architecture. Dracula's castle is the more impressive of the two, though. This is the most Castlevania thing about Lords of Shadow. There are many diverse locations inside the castle. The game does still look really good. Really makes me wonder what a graphical upgrade would look like. Once again, I have to praise Robert Carlyle. His performance as Dracula was great. He's great in all three games. Both Gabriel Belmont and Dracula are very different, but there's still small parts of Gabriel still in there.
The next time you creep up on me from behind will be your last.
Zobek sent me. He feels you might need my help as you're still weak.
I can look after myself, boy. I don't need anyone's help.
Know you are weak and are preparing for their father's return. Now they fear nothing.
Don't they fear the mighty Zobek?
Only you, in full possession of your powers, can defeat them.
Patrick Stewart plays a good death. He goes by Zolbeck here. This is a different type of character that I'm used to him playing, but Patrick Stewart always brings his A-game. This is kind of like a Star Trek Stargate crossover.
No!
Not really, but Captain Picard and Dr. Rush. Anyway, I'd say the entire voice cast did an awesome job here. Now, I've talked a lot of good about this one, but Lords of Shadow 2 has a few faults. The biggest one are the stealth sections. These are just more of an annoyance than anything. I get that Dracula is weakened, it's just that these really don't work. Usually it's distract or possess a guard, or turn into a rat and run through vents. Parts of the city can look a little drab compared to the castle. The skyline's nice, but running around a parking garage or a sewer is a little underwhelming for this epic adventure. Yeah, Lords of Shadow 2 is part 3 in a trilogy, but I still think it's the best of the bunch, and definitely worth a try. Just like Max Payne 3, it's playable on Xbox and PC. This game came out around the time of the PS4 and Xbox One. It seems weird Konami wouldn't port Lords of Shadow 2. They were just way more into making pachinko machines at the time.
Let's make this more exciting.
Japan. How did you stay afloat?
You mean in high school? Well, my dad got transferred overseas, and it was a really excellent experience.
The sergeant will get you the results you want now.
Keep it going!
Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots was released worldwide on June 12, 2008. Metal Gear Solid 4 being stuck on the PS3 is strange. We've received quite a few Metal Gear Solid collections, and oddly the story's finale is stuck on a single console. This game sold over 6 million copies, and it's the reason many people, including myself, bought a PS3. Back in 2001, I used my first paycheck to buy a PS2 and Metal Gear Solid 2, so Metal Gear was the reason I purchased 2 consoles. Metal Gear Solid 4 is the 6th game in the mainline series. Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker and 5 are both prequels. This is the ending to Solid Snake's story. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is set after Metal Gear Solid 4, but it's a spin-off. Director Hideo Kojima wasn't originally going to direct. He felt someone else should handle the reins of the 4th game in the series. However, the fan backlash was huge, including deletion threats.
Wrinkled skin, the hardened arteries. Your early aging symptoms look like classic Werner syndrome. But none of the tests were able to pinpoint the cause.
Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots takes place 5 years after the events of Metal Gear Solid 2 The Sons of Liberty. Solid Snake is rapidly aging. Due to this, he has less than a year to live. He's after Liquid Ocelot, Revolver Ocelot with Liquid Snake's arm. Liquid is able to control Ocelot's body through the hand or forearm to the head. Solid Snake has been after him for years. He thought he killed his twin clone Liquid. Revolver Ocelot lost his arm to Grey Fox, and he loves to reload during a battle, so he had Liquid's arm attached. Liquid Ocelot has been spotted in the Middle East. This is where the story begins. The game features many returning characters, such as Otacon, Roy Campbell, Naomi Hunter, and Snake gets his long-awaited reunion with Meryl Silverberg.
Men. Selfish, egotistical pigs.
And many more returning characters. The villains are a little weak compared to those from 1 and 3, and for the most part they're just underdeveloped versions of the bosses from said games. However, this is a great story and fitting in for Solid Snake. Cutscenes are very long in this game. Some I just put the controller down. They're all well executed and entertaining, but this game does have the world record for the longest cutscene, clocking in at 71 minutes. And love it or hate it, there's a lot of that Kojima humor.
Go away! I'm not done yet!
In total, there are 7 hours and 31 minutes of cutscenes. They are a huge part of the game. Remember Raiden? Whenever he shows up, things are always about to go down. Funny thing, in Metal Gear Solid 2, nobody wanted Raiden, and he shows up as a badass cyborg. We get Solid Snake back as the main character, but he's rapidly aged in the last 5 years. Snake wears a muscle sneaking suit that helps him get around. This suit also automatically camouflages itself like an octopus. Old Snake obviously controls extremely well. He's able to walk while aiming and lay on his back. Snake's CQC is improved as well. There's a face camo mask that can give Snake a younger appearance, or a pixelated MGS1 Snake. I just use it for the extra camouflage. Kinda reminds me of Deathstroke. Snake has a massive arsenal of weapons to use, both lethal and non-lethal. There's a shop to unlock the weapons picked up and buy ammo. Sneaking around is just as fun and nerve-wracking as always. Snake will be sneaking across battlefields at times with little cover to hide behind. Snake's new sneaking suit lets him blend in, but if enemies get close enough, he'll be spotted. Also, enemy soldiers can hear Snake's solid eye in night vision mode. Snake also has a few gadgets to help him. One being the solid eye. This eye patches Snake's radar, binoculars, or I guess monocular, and has night vision. There's also a mini Metal Gear like the one from Snatcher. This little guy has stealth camo and is great for recon. It's not all sneaking, there are plenty of chase scenes and shootouts throughout the mission.
Enemy from behind! Open up that checkpoint! Here we go!
Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots is really one of the greatest games ever made. Sure, the cutscenes get extremely long, but gameplay-wise it's outstanding. So why is it locked on the PS3? At least with a few of the other games in this video, they can be played on Xbox through backward compatibility and it had PC ports. This game is truly a PS3 exclusive. Original hardware and emulation are the only ways to play this. I just don't understand why Konami has never made a remaster of Metal Gear Solid 4. It was a huge seller and people would still pay for it today. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was first released in North America on February 19, 2013. Next released in Japan and PAL territories on February 21, 2013. And in Australia on February 26, 2013. Yeah, this is another Metal Gear game stuck on 7th gen. This one has something the other games in this video don't. It runs at 60 frames per second. Metal Gear Rising had a troubled development. It was originally shown at E3 2009. At the time Kojima Productions was working on the game, it was always a Raiden spin-off, but Kojima Productions didn't have Hideo Kojima working on this one. After a while, with not really being happy with how the game was coming together, development was handed off to Platinum Games. Kojima Productions was still involved, but most of the work was done by Platinum Games. None of the original Metal Gear Rising assets were used in Revengeance. Raiden was chosen because of how cool he was in Metal Gear Solid 4. An action game starring this new version of the Metal Gear Solid 2 protagonist was an obvious choice. Personally, I thought a Meryl game could have been interesting. Originally, the story was supposed to take place in between Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4. Platinum wanted more freedom with the story, so the game is set after Metal Gear Solid 4. In this 2018, cyborgs are commonplace. Our boy Raiden is part of a PMC and is on a protection mission. A group of cyborg terrorists attack and kill the Prime Minister Raiden was supposed to be protecting and take Raiden's eye and his arm.
Now I see. You deny your weapon its purpose.
Raiden gets rebuilt faster and stronger, and he heads out for some Revengeance. The story and characters are really meh. There's a codec, but there's no one really interesting to talk to. Raiden later becomes Jack the Ripper, and he actually becomes a little more interesting.
This is my normal, my nature. You've lost your mind.
The enemy terrorist group is filled with cyborgs and other robotic enemies. While it's called Metal Gear, this is a very different type of game. Raiden is now a slicing and dicing machine. There is some stealth with sneak attacks and staying out of sight. Raiden can use boxes and barrels. This is the only real way to stay out of sight though. Raiden can't go prone or press against walls. Running into action is the more fun way to tackle stages. Raiden starts with a katana. It can be upgraded to Gray Fox's katana if you have the DLC. He has both strong and fast attacks. The weapon for strong attacks can be changed as you defeat the main cyborg bosses. Raiden can also run at high speeds. This allows him to pull off some parkour. He can also go into free cut mode. This is really important for regaining health. Raiden chops enemy cyborgs to pieces and then rips out their nano healers. Raiden defends and parries by pushing the analog towards the incoming attack and doing a light attack. This looks pretty cool when multi-part attacks are blocked and parried. This high-speed action plays great, and there's something so satisfying about chopping up cyborgs and stealing their nano healers.
Now you're just being nasty.
Enemies come in many different sizes. There are geckos from Metal Gear Solid 4 as well as giant mechs. Bosses are where it's at. Every boss has an attack pattern that's easy to get the hang of, but that doesn't mean some of them aren't hard. Metal Gear Ray shows up as an early boss. It's cool to see how much faster Raiden can take down Ray than he could pre-Cyborg. The main bosses are the harder ones. They range from an AI dog to a dude that can use telekinesis. Really though, they're awesome fun boss battles with some really great music.
I'll put you under, weakling. Now what will you do, Jack Ripper?
Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is an awesome game that for the most part makes you feel like you're playing a Metal Gear Solid 4 cutscene. I mean, it's not like Raiden's gonna start breakdancing while doing windmills and throwing geckos all over the place or anything. This game's a real blast to play. Fast action that always moves at 60 frames per second, with solid responsive gameplay. The game sold around 2 million copies and probably could have gotten a new series started if there was a sequel. This is another one that's just strange it doesn't have a remaster for modern consoles.
Mariachi, ¿no? ¿Cyborg? Ese sombrero. ¿Qué? Adiós, amigos. ¿Viste? Qué raro, ¿eh? Hay que hacer que no lo vimos. Vámonos ya.
Tokyo Jungle was first released in Japan on June 7, 2012, next in North America on September 25, 2012, and in PAL territories on September 26, 2012. Tokyo Jungle takes place in a world where humans have vanished and animals are running around Tokyo. There are two modes of play. First is survival. You choose an animal, hunt, eat, and mate. Once the animal mates, they move on to the next generation. Eventually challenges appear to unlock the next animal. The other is story mode. This is mission based, but it's a lot of the same just with cutscenes. The little stories are good, like the one about a beagle getting bullied by some Tosas. Survival is the main game mode to play. This is also how you unlock more story stages. Survival drops you in the middle of Shibuya Station with no explanation. Years start moving with 1 year being a minute. After 1 year, a group of challenges open up. These are optional, but completing them add buffs to your animal. There's also challenges near the bottom of the list to unlock the next animal. This needs to be unlocked. It might be something like pass 2 generations or complete 4 challenges. An event will open up on the map letting you know where the next animal is. The game has a simple but fun combat system. Square attacks, the right stick dodges, and R1 gives you a pounce, or some other attack if you're playing as a herbivore. L1 is used to sneak. There are some tough animals around. It's a bit rough playing as a Pomeranian and you come across a lion, so best to sneak. The basic objective is to keep your animal's family line going for as many years as possible. They do age over time, so passing on to the next generation is a must to continue. Once the animals mate, a little version of the animal is playable. Not babies, just tiny versions. They're supposed to be babies, but they're just fully grown shrunken animals. Depending on which female you choose, desperate, average, or prime will determine how big the litter you'll be leading is. The thing is, to get better females, these males gotta rank up. There are 3 ranks: rookie, veteran, and boss. To rank up, they gotta eat. Really, this is a very fun addictive game. It's also got 2-player local co-op. There's a cool loot system, and the PSN leaderboards are still running. It's also another game trapped on the PS3. Yeah, you can stream it on the PS4 and PS5, but it's not the same. This is a Sony game and they could remaster it with some additions like being able to turn off pollution. This game is a real gem and the fact that it can be streamed means that it's not completely forgotten about. It took a little digging, but I found that the developer Crispy still has a website and Tokyo Jungle is on the front page. It's not impossible we might see this game again. Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth was first released in Japan on October 27, 2009. Next released in North America on December 28, 2009. Then in PAL territories on February 26, 2010. Yeah, that's right, 2 Castlevanias and 2 Metal Gears. This game is a remake of Castlevania The Adventure on the Game Boy. Rebirth is a WiiWare title, meaning it's gone. It was also developed by M2. I honestly didn't know they made games. Just in case you didn't know, M2 does ports of a lot of classic games. Castlevania Rebirth is the last of the classic-style Castlevanias. Christopher Belmont is the one destined to battle Dracula this time around. Christopher is the descendant of Trevor Belmont and Simon's ancestor. The Belmont family tree is kinda confusing. Now when I say classic style, I mean there are stages with bosses at the end instead of a Metroid-like map. There are 6 in total, all in different parts of Dracula's castle. The map between stages is definitely a callback to the NES original. Christopher is pretty basic in what he does. His attack only goes forward. His whip can be upgraded with a projectile for a short period of time. He can jump and use sub-weapons. Oh yeah, and he can duck. A lot of the sub-weapons from the series are here, such as a knife, axe, holy water cross, and stopwatch. One addition to Rebirth from Rondo of Blood are keys. While it's not as expansive as the latter, the keys do open alternate routes through stages. Stages, enemies, and bosses all look great. Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth looks like a lost GBA game. Regardless, it was a real treat at the time. The Rebirth series all have the 16-bit style, but none of them could appear on the SNES or Genesis. The game is just above what those consoles could handle. Unless, there's some sort of special chip or something, I don't know. Rebirth really does remind me of all the Treasure GBA games I played. The music is awesome, just like a majority of Castlevania music. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but it sounds like they took the best from both the Genesis and SNES sound chips for these arrangements. have one Halloween tradition. I listen to Castlevania music to and from work. I'll add a few of these this year. Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth is a real wee gem. I've never played Gradius Rebirth, but Contra Rebirth is just as good. Konami really needs to get these games back out there. I was surprised this game wasn't a bonus on the last Castlevania collection. Many moons ago, I put this in my top 10 Castlevania games Halloween video on my old channel. So yeah, I consider it one of the best. That video got over 100,000 views. Man, I wish I was still getting that kind of traffic. With this game being completely MIA, emulation is the only option. I've had the game on my Wii for so many years, but unless you already have it, there's no way to get it. Three of these games are playable on Xbox and PC. Tokyo Jungle can be streamed on PS4 and PS5. But both Metal Gear Solid 4 and Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth are stuck where they are. Rebirth with no way to purchase, and Metal Gear Solid 4 requiring a PS3 to play it. Spec Ops: The Line is another game that comes to mind with no way to purchase. That game's been removed from Steam. Where do you go after that? Sad thing is, there are tons of games stuck on consoles that aren't easily accessible. The game should be easy to get. Retro games are getting big again because people want to play games that are just that, games. Game preservation is better, but not all there yet. GTA 4 for instance. Why is there a mainline Grand Theft Auto game unplayable on modern PlayStation consoles? What games do you wish were on modern consoles? Leave them down in the comments below. I'd say every game I talked about deserves a remaster. Please like if you liked it, please subscribe, peace.